All right, today we're jumping into one of the most unbelievable financial crimes in recent history. It's a story that involves billions of dollars, Hollywood celebrities, and a mastermind who he just disappeared.
I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up. It sounds like a movie plot, probably because part of the stolen money was actually used to fund a huge Hollywood movie. It all comes back to this one single question.
Let's just put a number on this, because it is absolutely insane. We're talking about $4.5 billion. Think about that. That's the sheer scale of this theft. But where did all that cash even come from?
Well, this is the really gut-wrenching part. This wasn't some corporation's money. This was stolen from the 1MDB fund, which was set up by the Malaysian government. It was supposed to be for public projects, schools, roads, hospitals. It was money that belonged to the people of Malaysia.
So to really get how this all went down, you gotta meet the guy at the center of it all. A figure who lived a life so over the top, they nicknamed him the Asian Great Gatsby.
And, this is him, Jho Low. Not exactly what you'd picture when you think criminal mastermind, right? People who knew him said he was this soft-spoken, baby-faced businessman, and he totally used that image to charm his way into the most powerful circles on the planet. So what do you do with $4.5 billion of stolen money? If you're Jho Low, you throw some of the most legendary parties the world has ever seen. You're hanging out with Hollywood A-listers, you're hiring people like Kanye West for your birthday, getting private performances from Britney Spears, and then, in the most ironic twist of all time, you use that stolen cash to fund The Wolf of Wall Street, a movie all about, wait for it, financial crime. Okay, so living the high life is one thing. But the real question is, how on earth did he pull this off? How does one guy manage to crack open a government fund worth billions?
It all started with 1MDB. Now, on paper, this was a great idea. It was basically Malaysia's national investment fund. The plan was to borrow money, invest it in projects that would benefit the country, and grow the economy. A totally legitimate, even noble goal.
But here's the thing about a heist this big. You can't do it alone. You can't just walk into a bank and take out $1 billion. To move that kind of money around, you need access to the global financial system. And that means you need some very powerful friends.
And that's where Goldman Sachs comes into the picture. The huge investment bank helped 1MDB raise all these billions. But here's the catch. They collected about $600 million in fees for doing it. Now, to put that in perspective, that is way, way above what's normal. Investigators later said that those massive fees were basically a giant red flag that the bank should have seen, a sign that they were willing to look the other way while something shady was going on.
So when you boil it all down, the whole scheme was kind of brilliant in its simplicity. It was like a three-step playbook. First, you set up a totally legitimate government fund. Second, you get a huge, respectable bank like Goldman Sachs involved to raise the money, which makes everything look above board. And third, once the money's in, you just divert it, away from public projects and straight into your own pocket for an insane, lavish lifestyle.
But, a party that loud can't go on forever without someone noticing. As the whole scheme started to fall apart, the world's attention snapped right to Jho Low. The only problem? By then, he was already a ghost.
And once things started to unravel, they unraveled fast. First, you have the heist itself. But then journalists and investigators started putting the pieces together, and suddenly this wasn't just a scandal, it was a global manhunt, and that manhunt is still going on right now. And this is the part of the story that is just maddening. Jho Low, one of the most wanted white-collar criminals on the entire planet, has never been brought to justice. He's still a fugitive, and most people believe he's out there somewhere, still living off the billions he stole. Which leaves us with this really unsettling question. This whole saga isn't just about one guy's greed, right? It shows us just how broken parts of the international financial system really are. It makes you wonder, in a world where billions can zip across borders in a flash, can a ghost with enough money actually disappear for good?